Okay, let's dive into this. When we think about massive success today, especially billionaires, it's so easy to picture trust funds, elite private schools, and massive financial safety nets. But today, in this explainer, we're going to look at three incredible underdog stories that completely shatter that stereotype. We're talking about individuals who went from having literally nothing to achieving extraordinary success, and we're going to break down exactly how they did it.
Rejection. It's the universal pain, right? I mean, we've all felt the sting of a no. But for the people we're profiling today, rejection wasn't just an occasional setback. It was their daily reality. They were dismissed, laughed right out of rooms, and told their ideas were absolutely worthless hundreds, if not thousands of times.
And the struggle wasn't just professional, it was deeply, painfully personal. We aren't just talking about sleeping on a friend's couch for a few weeks. We're talking about literal homelessness. Some of these individuals experienced extreme poverty, losing their parents at a fragile young age and finding themselves with absolutely nowhere to go but the backseat of a beat-up car just to survive the night. To put this into perspective, some of these future titans of industries started their empires with less than $100 to their name, less than $100. No angel investors, no bank loans, just bare-bones survival mode. The contrast between this brutal starting line and the billionaire status they hold today is, well, it's nothing short of breathtaking. Section 1. John Paul DeJoria, the billionaire who lived in his car. Before all the massive success, John actually hit absolute rock bottom. He was jobless, going through a really painful divorce, and living in an old car with his young son, surviving purely by collecting empty soda bottles just to trade them in for pennies. But then, in 1980, opportunity knocked. A hairstylist named Paul Mitchell pitched John an idea for a professional hair care line. The catch? $700. That's it. That was literally every single penny they could scrape together. It all went into manufacturing their very first batch, leaving them with exactly $0 for a marketing budget. So how do you sell a completely unknown product with zero marketing budget? You hustle. John personally carried those first bottles door to door, visiting salon after salon. Just imagine the sheer energy required to walk into a business totally uninvited, pitch your product, and get rejected, over and over and over again. Some salon owners wouldn't even let him finish his sentence before kicking him out. But John just kept knocking on doors, every single day, refusing to let that rejection stop him, until a few salons finally gave the product a chance and realized, wow, this is actually incredibly high quality. And that relentless, everyday hustle paid off in a way literally no one could have predicted. Word of mouth spread like wildfire. Within just a few years, Paul Mitchell became one of the biggest, most respected names in the professional hair care industry. And John didn't stop there either. He took that success and invested in other businesses, famously co-founding Patron Tequila. He went from collecting soda bottles in his car to commanding a massive, multi-billion-dollar empire across completely different industries. Which brings us to John Paul DeJoria's core philosophy. Rejection is simply part of success. If he had given up after the first 10 no's or even the first 100, none of his empire would exist today. He proves definitively that sheer, stubborn persistence is often worth infinitely more than starting capital. Section 2. Sarah Blakely, Reframing Failure. Now, Sarah grew up with a pretty unique dinner table ritual. Her father would look at her and ask, "What did you fail at today?" And if she hadn't failed at something, he was actually disappointed. Without her even realizing it, this secretly trained her brain to become completely fearless. And boy, did she need that fearlessness. Sarah's big dream was actually to become a lawyer. But she failed the law school entrance exam, the LSAT, not once, but twice. Her dream absolutely crushed. She took a grueling position selling fax machines door to door. It was exhausting, soul-crushing work where she heard the word no dozens of times a day. But because of her childhood conditioning, those daily rejections didn't break her. Actually, they built her character and sharply honed her resilience. The eureka moment happened when Sarah was getting dressed for a party. She wanted a smoother look under her white pants, so she literally took a pair of scissors and cut the feet off her pantyhose. Instantly, she knew millions of women had this exact same problem. But here's the kicker. She had no factory, no connections in fashion, no investors, and only $5,000 in personal savings. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer power of independent hustle. With just that $5,000, Sarah became a one-woman army. She spent 2 whole years cold calling manufacturers who mostly just laughed at her idea. When she needed a patent, she couldn't afford a lawyer, so she read a textbook and wrote it herself. She designed her own packaging, she handled her own marketing, she hustled her way into a major department store. And the massive turning point? She somehow managed to get her product into the hands of Oprah Winfrey's stylist, leading Oprah to name it one of her favorite things. After that, sales completely exploded. That one-woman hustle turned Spanx into a global powerhouse, making Sarah Blakely the world's youngest self-made female billionaire at the time. Her biggest takeaway for us? Sometimes the biggest opportunities come from solving your own everyday problems. You don't need to invent a spaceship, right? You just need to fix a common frustration and have the absolute grit to see it through.
Section 3. Shahid Khan, from dishwasher to NFL owner. Let's look at Shahid Khan, an immigrant from Pakistan, who arrived at America at just 16 years old to study engineering. He showed up with exactly $500 in his pocket and a desperate need for a job just to survive.
His very first job in America was washing dishes at a local restaurant. His wage? $1.20 an hour. He worked grueling, long hours, scrubbing plates while trying to balance a full-time engineering course load. Every single penny mattered. But what's amazing about Shahid is that he didn't complain about the unfairness of his situation. Instead, he treated every single moment as a chance to learn the American system.
After he graduated, Shahid got a job at an automotive parts company. And that's where his engineering brain spotted a massive opportunity. He noticed that the bumpers on pickup trucks were really inefficient. He could design a product that was both stronger and lighter. He believed in this idea so much that he took a huge risk and started his own manufacturing company. It was incredibly tough to win over clients from established competitors, but his designs were undeniably better. And eventually, the major automakers simply had to trust him.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of his transformation. I mean, it is incredible. He went from a 16-year-old immigrant washing dishes for pocket change to the owner of Flexingate, which is one of the largest automotive suppliers on the entire planet. He even took that wealth and bought the Jacksonville Jaguars of the NFL, plus the Fulham Football Club over in England. He is now, without a doubt, one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs alive.
The lesson from Shahid Khan's journey is simple but incredibly empowering. Your first job doesn't define your future. It really doesn't matter if you are scrubbing dishes, selling fax machines, or collecting soda bottles. The skills you acquire and the real-world problems you figure out how to solve will take you infinitely farther than whatever your starting point happens to be. Section 4. Lessons in Extraordinary Success. We've explored 3 wildly different journeys today, from hair care to apparel to automotive parts. But despite these huge differences in their fields, their blueprints for success share a remarkable foundation. None of them let their starting point dictate their ending.
So let's quickly recap these 3 powerful takeaways. First, rejection isn't the opposite of success. It is a mandatory stepping stone on the path to it. You have to expect the no's. Second, you don't need a magical, world-altering idea to start a business. Just look at your own life and solve your own everyday problems. And third, your first job, or whatever struggling situation you might be in right now, does not define you. It is merely a training ground for your future.
These 3 billionaires proved that grit, reframing failure, and relentless problem-solving are the true currencies of success. So I'll turn it over to you. Which of these 3 stories surprised you the most? Was it John, Sarah, or Shahid? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this explainer, be sure to hit subscribe for our next one uncovering more unbelievable success stories. So ask yourself, what everyday problem are you going to solve today? See you next time.